Off the podcast with
Absolutely.
Carrie Marie and Kellie O'Shea over in Tasmania. And we're here to talk with you today about the map is not the territory. And this is a powerful coaching principle that we use with our clients. It's also the main theme of this fabulous book that we are going through with our Empowering You book club, and it's called Ultimate Power. This is the original cover, the original book from 1986, and Kellie has got the latest edition, which is modeling if you're watching the video. And actually, if you want to watch the video, if you're listening to our podcast, you can get access to the video in our Empowering You book club. We put there real, raw, and no edits or anything like that. So if you just want to see us and interact with us and get it straight away. So like you guys will have to wait a week since we recorded it. If you want it straight away, then do join our group and you'll find heaps of value in that group. I'm sure you'll agree, Kellie.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
We have audios, we have Kellie posts beautiful, engaging posts to get us to really think about what we've been listening to and reading through the week. And we have an epic group of people who are committed to transformation. So let's get into this. We are having a conversation about the map is not the territory. But Kellie, would you like to give us a start about why the map is not the territory? It's so important.
Absolutely. Well, for me, when I first heard that, it went over my head. I had no idea what that meant. And then learning more about it and learning to understand that the perception of everything is different for everyone. What we see is not necessarily what the next person sees. And so when we ask, I know, for example, if I was outside looking at the river that's outside, and then someone else came along and looked at it, and then someone was asking a question about what you see, we actually see two different things. And I'm really being aware of that is allowing me to communicate and understand people so much more. And it also allowing me to not take things personal.
I love that. Yeah. Can you talk a bit more, just so our listeners get really clear here, when you say two people come together looking at the river and they'll see different things, you expand on that a little bit more for us?
Well, I'm just looking at the perception of what they're focusing on. Everyone focuses on things differently. They have a perception of what they're going to see first, or what they're, So for me, I see that river and I focus on that river so much. But for someone else, it might be the trees that they see before the river, or the boat on the river, not necessarily the river. Does that make sense, Carrie?
Yeah, it does. So what I'm hearing is like someone might focus on the water, the reflections, the water itself, the river, or they might focus on something around the river, something around the environment, or they might see the sky, or some, like you said, boat that's sitting on the river, or maybe the reeds that are moving in the river, something like that. They might just, the focus might be different. And I guess along with that, and I remember hearing this before, like two people can look at the sunset and someone might say, wow, what a beautiful sunset. Someone might say, yeah, I've seen 100 of them before, so what? Same sun, two completely different points of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that perception that you've had, because the person that is focusing on the beautiful sunset, then hears the person say, oh, you've seen one, you've seen them all. You can kind of get very emotional about that comment and not realizing that they're just not focused on what you're focused on.
Yep. And it's different, where in the physical sense is also different too. And what I love about unlimited power. We're going to talk a lot about unlimited power because part of what we're doing here as well is discussing the book and the last couple of chapters that we've covered in the group. So I'd love to actually introduce a concept that he talks about, and I believe it's in chapter 2. I think we've come across this already. Oh, no, we haven't. We haven't come across that one yet. That's in chapter 3. I'm getting ahead.
Hey, that's what we do, Carrie.
Well, I want to talk about this anyway, because it's so relevant to this conversation about the map is not the territory. And what he talks about is, like, our map is really about how we represent the world to ourselves. So it's how we see things in our mind, what we see in our mind. So, like, it's not just the pictures that we see, but also how we see them. Like, are they big? Are they bold? Are they vibrant? Or are they faded? Are they fuzzy? Are they black and white? Are they hard and clear to see? And then there's the how and what we hear ourselves. Again, is it loud? Is it really what I'm looking for? Loud and clear, or is it kind of fuzzy and muffled? What and how we can? That's all about how we communicate with ourselves, and that's
absolutely
map.
Yeah,
Writes and talks about that.
it is, yeah, and I love when you're focusing on, you know, how people hear things differently and see things. You know, for me, I'm deaf, so hearing things is not my focus. I focus on what I see. So right there is, if you were to say to me in a rock concert, gee, this music is loud, I'd be like, okay. You know, and that's the great example on that your perception, your focus right there is on the fact that the music is loud. And yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Carrie.
Cool. And so with that, so like that's an awesome example of a difference, and that's from just a physical point of view, right? Because the way your senses bring in the information is different. Yeah. And so I'd love to know then, how would you experience that concert?
For me, well, you know, and obviously the music that I like, that I'm used to. So I know the rhythm of the song, and then I would understand what the song is, not necessarily hearing it word for word, but also the visual of the people on the stage, the colors, the people around me that are getting excited. And yeah, so that I would just focus on the visual side of things and get my audio from that. You know what I mean? You know, like the perception that's going to my brain, and Carrie's loving this concept because she's jumping up and down and she's so and then that's a great example of different perceptions for different reasons.
Yeah, so for you perceive things more from a visual and from a feel.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of sensing from what you're sharing.
Absolutely.
It's worth thinking about then, those of you who are listening, is how do you perceive the world? What are your senses that you are most attuned to? Is it visual? Do you get affected more by something you see, or something that you hear, or is it something that you feel? Do you experience the physical touch, or is it an emotion? How do you connect with the world? When you start to understand how you're interacting and the sensory inputs and how you respond to those, that's so amazing.
It is.
And more and more, when I start to understand, is it the way someone says something to me that's important? Is it what they said that's important? Or is it the way they touch me that's important? Human interaction. Or is it the emotion that I feel? Or what is causing the emotion that I feel? Is it what I It's really interesting how they're born to mingle with each other and kind of feed each other as well. It's like, okay, what came first? The emotion, the way that I perceived the way someone said something, what they said, the way that they looked when they said it to me.
Mm. Mm.
And it's really good when you understand, okay, what it is that affects you first. What is it you notice first? Because then you can start asking questions and go, actually, when you said that, I made that mean, did I understand correctly? And sometimes you'll be amazed to find out they didn't mean that at all.
Exactly. And I'm really, and again, I'm just loving everything you're saying, and the fact that you mentioned there, that's what I thought, that's how I took that. So you're really allowing yourself to understand again that maybe not what they meant, that's how I took it. And then clearing that up can really help everything, can't it, Carrie?
Yeah, it can. Absolutely. It can make such a difference to your relationship. There's more about that in the book too. It's so exciting. So, yes, communication. Coming back to communication, because that's mentioned in chapter 2 a lot. Mentioned in both chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Unlimited Power about communication, and throughout, because communication plays a huge role in every aspect of our lives, especially when it comes to us. How we communicate with ourselves determines our experience in the world. If you've got a tyrant, and I'll put my hand up and say, my tyrant is still there, but I'm aware of it, and sometimes it takes a lot longer to tame it than I'd like, but I can tame it. Yeah. And this is really important, because if you have a tyrant and you believe every single word that it's saying to you, and you take that whip that it's chucking at you, it's a big whip for a 2d4. You will not get up from it.
Yeah, that image.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? But that's what it feels like. It feels like being beaten down. For me personally, that's how it is. And I know I'm not the only one that walks around with a tyrant in their head. But being able to understand that, yes, there's this voice in my head, and no, it's not me, and I can change that around. I can choose to listen to it. Not. If I listened to my tyrant this morning, we would not be having this conversation.
Exactly.
I would have gone back to bed. Yeah. But I'm here.
And again, Carrie, I'm sorry. Can I just, I really want to underline that word that you said. I can choose. Underline. It again, it's up to you. You kind of choose to want to deal with that tyrant. Tell that tyrant and that I'm over you. I don't need you anymore. But I really, underline, choose. You choose.
Yes, absolutely. You choose. It may not feel like it. And I've had times like that where I learned that actually there's choice. But then I was like, how? How do I choose different to what I've already experienced? Because for me, this this is normal.
Yeah.
How do I choose not to listen to this and not to give and give into this? How do I even know what something else looks like? But things you don't know until you try.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
There was another thought that came up around that. I've forgotten what it is, and that's okay too.
And then, can I just ask you, quickly for our listeners and that, when you have those moments, how do I choose? Where does that take you? What's the next step for you, Carrie?
Okay, so what happens when I have that tyrant come up and then I choose something else?
Yeah, and you know that you're like, oh, I'm gonna choose, but what do I do? Where do I go? Yeah.
Well, these days I go, okay, you're here. What do I want? Is this serving me? If I gave into that voice this morning, it's like, well, I'd be letting you down. I'd be letting our listeners down. It's kind of like, well, it's not an option. I have to choose, okay, do I give into it, or do I get up and say, actually, you know what? It's okay that I feel like crap. It's okay that I'm not. I was actually because I started a new exercise, and I wasn't as strong as I thought, and I couldn't do half the exercises, and it's like, no, and I was like, you know what? I'm just where I am at right now. It's okay. And this doesn't have to affect the rest of my day. And it certainly doesn't have to come between me and this conversation we're having today, which other people need to know about. So I picked myself up, I got myself something to drink, I had something to eat.
Yeah.
I'd done it, and I could tell my personal trainer that, hey, I made a start and it didn't go that well, and maybe I need some easier exercises to get me started. And that's okay.
I love that, yeah.
So I did that, and then I actually did anchoring before I came.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That really helped as well. And again, this is something that's taught in Unlimited Power. So you will learn how to change your state in an infant. Yeah. You have to make that choice. You have to make that call that actually you want to feel differently to what you feel. And it took me to like 5 minutes before this call to decide that, you know what, I don't want to feel like this, and I want to be the best I can be to serve you and the people listening today. And once I've done that, it's great. And within a few minutes, for me, it's not instant. It takes a few minutes, but then my energy levels come up, and I can be the person I need to be in this moment.
I love that, yeah. And in here, it was your choice, and you made that choice for a call to action. And thank you so much, Carrie. We appreciate you, and you're valued on this call, and I love you to bits.
I love you too, Kellie. Thank you so much for your acknowledgement too.
I love it. Yeah, no, this book is a lot more powerful than what people think, or assume. Tony Robbins, he's up there, he's on the TV, and he's a very amazing man. But this book, it will change everything.
Totally. Remember, this was written in 1986. It's still relevant today. He's updated the book. I don't know, when was your book published?
Let me have a look.
This is the most recent edition.
Okay, so this is just got 1997.
1997. Okay, so that's still 23 years ago, but
yeah,
relevant, totally relevant to today. But he doesn't need to bring another one out probably because it's so relevant to what we're experiencing right now. We're all, not going to say we're all, that's not true, but most of us, I would say most people need some way to get out of their heads, need some way to be able to be more than who they are. They're not happy with life and they want more. And Tony actually talks about the purpose of this book in the start. And he said the purpose of it is to give a guidebook. He said he could have made it 2 to 3 books. He got told, hey, you could make 2 or 3 books out of this and give it out at different times. He said he didn't want to do that. He wanted to make a guidebook and make all the information available to people. Didn't have to wait. It's all there. He said, yes, there's a risk that some people will just read the chapter and not read the rest. But I think with that, if someone is really going to pick up the book and only read the first chapter and not read the rest, does it really matter if they pick up the next book? Or if you did split into 2, it's like they'll still read the first chapter and not read the rest anyway. So why not just give them the whole lot? Then the people who do want the information and will read it from cover to cover will get the information straight away. And I think that's so powerful and so wonderful. And you can pick up and open it on any chapter and you'll find so much golden value. And I found, because I basically just sat there and I read this book to do for the group. I didn't actually use much of the information. I had taken some bits, but my main priority was, okay, let's get the recordings done. And now I'm going back through it. And I'm starting to go, okay, now I can start applying it. I can take my time with it a little bit more. I'm loving it. I really am reading it for a second time, and even a third time, so I'll reread bits.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that the other day, Carrie. Each time you read a book, you get something different out of it. And people that are part of our Empowering You book club, they're getting, I think, we've got, say 30 more, but they're getting 30 plus versions of what people are getting out of this book. So without having to read it 30 times, you are getting 30 different perspectives. And that to me is phenomenal and powerful. And you don't even have to think that you might need help in that area or whatever. But when you start reading the book, it peels back the layers to your core. And that's a whole new conversation, isn't it, Carrie? But your core, which is the heart center of you. And this book is phenomenal. So please come and join us. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like we've digressed a little bit. So how about we just come back for a moment to talk about map is not the territory. And I wanted to give you an analogy with that too, because we're talking about internal representations. Mm-hmm. And this might still feel a little bit abstract to you with the examples that we've given so far. But I want you to think about this. Imagine a city. Picture a city that you're quite familiar with. Now think about a map that you might have for that city. Is the map the city?
Mm.
And it's not. The map is simply a representation. And you might have a bus map. You might have a cycle map. You might have a map of where the tourist attractions are. You might have a map of, what else might I have a map of, Kelly? I'm trying to think. Bus routes, cycle routes.
You can have a map of restaurants, a map of the hotels, a map of the parks in the area. You know, all the things, they focus on different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about it, the map in your mind of the world, sort of like, how do you navigate the world? What is it you're seeing? Because if you've got a map that focuses on the good stuff, that focuses on the opportunities, that sees more of the world and actually sees more of it for what it is, if you're able to see, oh yeah, I can see buildings, I can see the concrete, I can see the windows, I can see the trees, I can see the soil that's underneath the trees, I can see the cars, the road, I can see the countryside. If you're able to see all the details, and I'm talking about, if you want to talk about little details, you might see the litter in the corner, or you might see the little bit of grass. You might see details, so the bits that enrich the whole picture, the textures and such like. But if your map is limited, you might only notice the big streets and not the alleys. You might notice the buildings, but not the windows. You might notice the cars, but not what kind of cars they are. And so you have a very limited perception of the world. And your map can be just like that too. If you're just focusing on, say, the streets and the buildings around them, what are you missing out on? You're focusing on only the bad and why is this happening to me and why me instead of why not me? What's the opportunity here? What can I learn out of this? What else is possible? Expanding question. You're going to experience a tiny little world and find, and I know this personally, the comfort zone shrinks. And the world experience shrinks. And the cup of what you can allow into your world shrinks.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And stepping outside of that comfort zone is the most amazing feeling that you can have. Yeah.
And it can feel a little bit like sometimes you're on the edge of a cliff or on the edge of a diving board and you're about to be pushed off it or you're about to step off it and you feel unknown. And at the end, when you've done it and you've seen yourself through it, it can be the most exhilarating experience. Sometimes you wonder, why did I take so long?
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, the amount of time I've asked myself that, Carrie, why have I taken so long? But it happens when it happens, when you're ready. And we're going back again, your choice to take the action. It's up to no one else, it's up to you. Yeah. And that's powerful, and to understand that completely.
Absolutely. And saying when you understand that, you get and I love that you shared this at the beginning of the call, you understand not only yourself better, but other people better as well, because you can start to understand, okay, well, maybe they're just not seeing this.
Exactly.
And actually this is so important to understand right now, because there's so many different opinions about the world situation that we're in.
Oh, so many.
Actually conflicting views around the world. It's really important to actually sort of say, well, if that person's thinking different to me, what why is that? What's going on? Asking questions, getting curious. Well, where do you get that information from?
Yeah.
What are you seeing that I'm not? Is it okay that if I share with you what I think? And maybe they'll be open to hearing you out, maybe they won't, and that's totally okay. That's their story, their map. But you've got to open and tug and tweeze each other's maps a little bit. Start stretching each other a little bit. Maybe even check in and say, "Oh, you would I'd love to expand my knowledge around this area or this point of view. Can you help me with that?"
Oh yeah, that asking for the help and being open, being non-judgmental, and just just sitting there and hearing their side and what they're seeing, what you're not. I love that.
Yeah, and asking for permission. This is really important, especially if you've got two very different views. Asking for permission. Is it okay to share with you what I see and what I've been hearing, and see what you think about that? It's so totally okay if you disagree with me. I just agree to disagree. Is it okay if you have a look at what I'm seeing too and see what you think of that?
Absolutely. And I that right there can change everything when you ask permission to share your view rather than pushing it on them or feeling like they're pushing it onto you. Just say, okay, I'm open to hearing your view. Please share it. All right, and then I'm loving that as well. That's important to ask permission.
Yeah, that's so cool. But I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because it's so important. So many people actually need to hear this. And I remember, I'm not sure if it's Stephen Covey, it might be, but there's a famous person in this field who said, seek to understand, not to be understood. Because when we seek to understand, we become curious, and people are more open with us when we're more open.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right. It's just like, okay, what makes you think that?
Yeah. Be more curious and ask questions and, extend their thinking, extend your thinking. Yeah.
Beautiful. I was curious, actually. So we've covered quite a lot, haven't we? When it comes to map.
I know we have.
And we've covered a little bit about the book so far in the first two chapters, and gone a little bit further ahead as well.
I know. That's what we do, Carrie.
We do, and we have these conversations. So these literally are conversations. There, we have an idea of what we're going to talk about, and then with it. I'm curious, Kellie, is there anything that you feel our listeners need to hear that would really help them to help this message to hit home a little bit more, perhaps?
This whole adventure that we're on, it's amazing, and just sharing and learning, and this is a whole nother conversation as well, Carrie, but like NLP, talking about NLP, like when I first heard that, I thought it was a political party. But that there is a whole nother avenue that again will focus on our words and our language and understanding and perception. And see, they all go together. The mapping of the territory, NLP, taking action. And what it all comes down to, Carrie, is it is all about us and our listeners and you and taking responsibility and taking action for our own lives. Yeah.
What I love is that everyone listening here is taking responsibility. They're wanting something different. Otherwise, they wouldn't be listening to this call right now. Still here if they didn't want some kind of change. So I think that's really wonderful. And I love what you're sharing about NLP. I remember I think the first time I came across it was actually through a dear friend of mine, who is a dear friend of mine. She wasn't at the time when I came across it. And I remember thinking, what the heck is this? Programming is simply programming your brain with language.
And in that,
It's really like your brain is like it's the most powerful computer in the world. It really is. But how do we're not taught how it works. We're not taught how it files things away. We're not taught how to retrieve those files and how to use them in a way that serves us and is powerful and can help us to have the results that we want in our life. We're not taught that at school.
No.
But you'll learn it when you join us for Empowering You Book Club, and you'll learn it. If you don't want to join us in the book club, that's cool. If you want to do the journey on your own, buy the book Unlimited Power. He teaches techniques, not every NLP technique there is, there's a lot. I think my friend is a master practitioner. She's got files this thick full of techniques. So you're not going to learn all the techniques, but you'll learn powerful ones that can help you shift through phobias, that can help you shift through procrastination, that can help you shift through depression, relieve overeating, for instance, getting over habits, bad habits. It's amazing what you can achieve with NLP when you understand your brain filing system, the language that it uses. So,
I love it as well because, like you mentioned, the brain isn't the most powerful thing, but then we realize, we with the right techniques and the right understanding and the right action, we do have control. And that is, I'm really loving the word phenomenal. I say that a lot.
Phenomena. But it is a good word, isn't it? Awesome. All right. So if you're interested then in joining the unlimited, let me say this again. See, we stuff up and it's all good. But if you want to join us in going through this whole book with our fantastic community, which is growing all the time, it grows overnight. We have no idea where the people come from, but it keeps growing. Do join us, please. We go through the whole book. There's audios, there's PDFs, there's beautiful Kellie posting amazing quotes and inspiring messages and questions to really help get the message home. We post every Monday to Friday. You get a break at the weekend. Isn't that lovely? You've got time to catch up if you get a little bit behind because we know that life happens. And we're open to suggestions as well. So if you would like to have group discussions and later on, because when it gets into NLP techniques, we'd love to get involved in some group workshops and really help these techniques work for you. So we've got plans, but we'd love to have your feedback as well to make it even better. And so if you're not already in the group, please join us. The group you'll find in Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/Empowering You Book Club. And you'll find us there. Do answer all of the questions when you come to join us. That speeds up the process of being able to let you in. We just want to know that you are fully engaged, fully ready to take part and be active in your transformation, because that's what it's all about. Your transformation, your results to make 2021 the best year you've ever had, because you deserve it. Don't even like 2020, but however good it was for you. And it's not about not liking where you are now. It's not about that. It's simply about wanting to be better and have something you are now. You may love where you are right now, and that's totally cool. But if you'd like it to be better anyway, you join us. You'll find that you can have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Open to change, open to understanding, open to new avenues. Please come and join Empowering You Book Club, because it really is empowering. And Carrie Marie Arlington does the reading, and they're phenomenal, and they're posted up so you don't need to feel that you need to, keep up with what we're posting. If you want to go back, you want to listen to something else, they're there. So it's really, it's all about you and how fast you want to go, We really, really encourage you to get engaged, ask questions, post your key takeaways, because this book page is all about you guys, all about everyone who's on there, and I'm just loving it. I just absolutely love it. So, yeah, the brainchild of Carrie Marie Adlington.
And Kellie O'Shea. I'm not going to take complete credit for this because without Kellie, we wouldn't be here right now. So it's a bit of both of us. And I'm so glad that we're doing this together and that we get to help so many more people. Like we get benefit from doing this for ourselves. It's so much more fun knowing that we get impact in the world by helping so many more people. We're so grateful for that. And I just want to add on that note of what Kellie was saying about you being able to go at your own pace. I think I mentioned before, I've recorded the whole book. All the audios are uploaded into Google Drive, and you have access to that link as well. So you can go into the folder and you can listen to any of the audios that you like, or you can listen to a whole lot if you want in one go, or you can spread it out. But if we're going too slow for you, you can go faster if you want. And even if you go ahead, feel free to reach out into the group. Let us know where you're at. Let us know where you're up to and where perhaps you're struggling, where, if you have questions, because you set the groundwork really well. But if you've come across words that you've never heard before, or you're still not really sure what NLP is, even though he described it in the book and you've heard us talk about it, if you still have questions, ask. Ask, put your hand up, start a conversation. You can start it in the group, you can reach out to us personally, however you want to do it. Be aware that we do have some amazing people in the group. So if you post it in the group, you'll probably get an answer faster than if you reach out to one of us personally, especially if you're on the other side of the world. But whichever way you choose to do, know that you can. There is support there.
Absolutely.
And we want to help you have the life that you want. And we'd love to hear your dreams too. It might be that right now you don't know what you want. And that's totally cool, because the book is going to help you create amazing goals. Understand what it is that you want, what your needs are, and how to meet those too. And you can do that through your dreams, because you'll know how to do that. Absolutely.
Be prepared as you go through the book for those dreams and those goals to get bigger. When you realize what you're capable of, this dream, it's phenomenal, it's great. By the end of the book, it's going to be this big. And you become aware of what you're capable of, what you can do, what's out there, and you've got the capacity and the actions to make it happen. So yes,
Can I share a quote?
Oh, please do. Please do.
I'm gonna get it. Oh, let me find it. Damn, I can't find it. I'll have to leave it.
Okay.
When I've done with it, that's okay.
That's okay.
It's a very famous one, but it's basically the essence and crux of it is all about the main thing we're really afraid of is about our greatness. I mean, greatness until we really step out of it. Who are we? I can't remember the whole quote. It's a very famous one. Nelson Mandela spoke it. It's actually a woman that originally wrote it. And it was like, who are you not to be great? Who are you not to shine your light into the world? You're a child of God. And we need to access this. And this book, Unlimited Power, really does help us to tune into that. You don't have to even believe that right now. It's enough to want something new and have the willingness to learn and take action.
Yeah, it is. And like you said that a little minute ago, a lot of us, we are afraid of our greatness and going beyond what we think we can. And this book, it will open you up to, that what's that saying, the world is your oyster. Oh my goodness, it's going to be your crazy.
I reckon it's going to be amazing. So anyway, I think what is it? If there isn't anything else, Kelly, perhaps we should wrap up there.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. We've talked enough.
Only if you think so.
Right.
Well,
But no, that's good. People have got to know us and know what we're capable of. But yeah.
I think so. And we've covered math is not the territory, how we represent the world to ourselves through what we show ourselves in our mind, how we show that in our mind, what we hear in our mind, how we hear that in our minds, and knowing that what we see, hear, and feel about a situation will be different from someone else's point of view.
Yeah.
We've all got our own maps. We're neither navigating by the parks or we're navigating by the toilets or the or the restaurants or the streets, whatever it is. We're all representing our world in different ways. We're all focusing on something different, and each one is valid and cool. But wouldn't it be amazing if we have the parks, the toilets, the restaurants, the fuel stations, all on one map? We can include more of these things and enrich our map so that we can start going, okay, this is what I used to believe. Now I'm choosing to believe this.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful. So I think if you take nothing home today, I hope you take home the fact that you can change the way you see the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. No, thank you so much, Carrie, for tuning in New Zealand in this conversation. It's been great.
And thank you, Kelly, for tuning in across the ditch over in Tassie. So glad to be doing this with you and to have all our beloved listeners tuning in from wherever they are. They might be not just across the ditch, but what, across the pond, the ocean?
The pond, the ocean, the
lake.
Yeah, I mean, if you do come and join us, please, on Empowering Your Book Club, please let us know where you're from. Blow our minds about where you're tuning in from and what you're getting, and just really like to know where you're all from.
Definitely. So when you join in, do give us an introduction about where you're at, and for the link, you can find that in the description as well. Here is again, just one last time, facebook.com/groups/Empowering You Book Club. And for those of you who are already in there, please share this with your friends and family, anyone who you think would love to have a more fabulous life, a more fabulous year than they've ever had before in 2021, because this is probably one of the best gifts you could ever give them.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So Carrie out from New Zealand.
Thank you. And tuning out from Tasmania. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.